The night was supposed to be perfect. A shimmering carpet glowing under studio lights, fans pressed against barricades, flashes exploding like tiny bursts of fireworks. The premiere of Wicked for Good was meant to be a celebration, an enchanted evening filled with emerald gowns, laughter, and the electricity of one of the most anticipated films of the year. And at the center of it all, Ariana Grande stepped into the spotlight, her presence as bright and effortless as the glitter dusting her dress. She walked slowly, gracefully, her hand lifted in a soft wave. Cameras followed her every movement. Fans shouted her name from both sides of the carpet. The air vibrated with excitement, the kind that only comes when someone truly beloved steps into view. Ariana smiled, posing with her co-stars, the picture of calm elegance. But in a single, violent second, the magic of the moment shattered. A blur of movement broke through the crowd. A man, moving too fast to understand, leapt forward, arms out, crossing the barricade as if the rules of the world no longer applied to him. The security line snapped open like a tear in fabric. Ariana's expression froze, her smile collapsing into shock as the intruder grabbed her shoulder. Everything after that happened in fragments. A gasp from the crowd. A flare of camera light hitting Ariana's face. The sharp shouts of security rushing in. Cynthia Erivo lunging forward without hesitation, her arm intercepting the man as if she'd trained for this moment her whole life. Michelle Yeoh stepping toward Ariana, instantly protective, instantly focused. The noise shifted from glamorous chaos to raw fear. Ariana's eyes widened, her body stiffened. For a heartbeat, she didn't move at all. Her breath hitched, her lips parting slightly, as if she couldn't decide whether to scream or stay silent. Her pulse hammered in her neck. Her hand trembled as she pulled it back against her chest. The man was tackled within seconds, dragged backward by security, shouting incoherently as his feet scraped across the carpet. But Ariana's body didn't register the end of danger as quickly as the crowd did. Her muscles stayed locked, her shoulders curled inward, her chin dipped down, her breath caught in her throat like a trapped bird. Cynthia touched her arm gently, whispering something only Ariana could hear. Michelle guided her a step back, creating a protective circle around her. The cast closed in, instinctively forming a barrier between Ariana and the chaos unfolding inches away. Cameras kept flashing, unaware or uncaring that they were documenting fear, not glamour. Ariana swallowed hard. She blinked, but the tremble stayed in her hands, faint but unmistakable. The carpet beneath her feet suddenly felt unstable, like it might drop away entirely if she breathed too deeply. Security pushed the man into custody, but the damage had already been done. The safety Ariana was promised on that carpet had been ripped away. And when safety breaks, trust breaks with it. The fans who had been screaming her name moments earlier now watched in silence, unsure whether to applaud, comfort, or just stare. Some cried, some shouted angrily at security, some prayed out loud. Everyone knew something had gone horribly wrong, but no one knew how deeply it hit Ariana's heart. From the outside, it lasted only a few seconds. Inside Ariana's mind, it stretched into something longer, something darker, something familiar. The world had seen her in fear before. The world had seen her in trauma before. And in that moment, on a glowing carpet in Singapore, her past slammed into her present with brutal force. She didn't collapse. She didn't scream. She didn't run. But she broke quietly, in the way people break when they've been hurt before. A handler rushed forward with a hand on her back. Someone whispered, "Do you want to step inside?" Ariana nodded faintly, unable to trust her voice. Cynthia and Michelle stayed beside her as she took small, careful steps away from the crowd. Her heels clicked softly against the carpet, each sound sharper than the last, echoing like tiny alarms in her ears. Behind the curtain, away from lenses and shouts, Ariana stopped. She leaned slightly against a wall, her hands shaking at her sides. Someone offered her a bottle of water. She didn't take it. She just kept breathing small, thin breaths, the kind people take when they're trying not to cry. A stylist stood in front of her, pretending to adjust her dress but really giving her something to focus on that wasn't fear. A makeup artist dabbed at the corners of her eyes, pretending nothing was wrong. A security guard stood with hands folded, pretending not to listen for her breathing. Everyone around her pretended, because pretending was the only way to make her feel like she still had control. Ariana closed her eyes for a moment. She pressed her lips together tightly, and then she whispered, "I'm okay." But the whisper didn't sound okay. It sounded like someone trying to convince herself that she wasn't falling apart. She took a slow breath, then another. Her heartbeat steadied, not full calm, but enough to stand up straighter, enough to lift her chin, enough to return to the world that had frightened her only minutes earlier. She stepped back onto the carpet, not because she wanted to, but because she didn't want fear to win. Her smile returned, soft and small. Her eyes didn't sparkle the way they usually did. They looked glassy, heavy, guarded. She waved again, but her hand stayed close to her body, as if she still expected something to grab her. The cameras captured everything. The slight tremble, the tightened jaw, the quiet strength. Fans watching online noticed instantly. They shared clips, zooming into her expression, analyzing every microsecond, her flinch, her hesitation, her recovery. They posted messages saying she didn't deserve this. They begged security to do better. They prayed for her safety. But Ariana didn't respond. She just kept moving forward, step by careful step. Inside the venue, children dressed in glittery Glinda dresses waited to meet her. They didn't know what had happened outside. They didn't know that Ariana's heartbeat was still skipping unevenly. They only knew she was their Glinda, their fairy, their hero. Ariana smiled softly at them. She knelt down to match their height. She signed posters, hugged them gently, laughed at their excitement. For a moment, the fear faded, not gone, but pushed aside so she could give those children the joy they came for. Later that night, when the world had exploded with headlines, Ariana posted a simple message. "Thank you, Singapore." No mention of the attack. No mention of fear. No mention of pain. Just gratitude. Just light. Just Ariana. But the world saw through it anyway. They saw how shaken she looked. They saw how hard she tried to stay strong. They saw the humanity behind the superstar who always carries more weight than she lets on. And while the premiere continued, something had already shifted inside her, a quiet realization that even the brightest lights can't always keep the darkness away. Behind the curtain, Ariana stood still, her breath thin and shaky, the memory of the man's hand still burning on her shoulder. She kept whispering, "I'm okay," but her voice was soft, strained, as if she was trying to outrun the fear pulsing through her chest. Cynthia stayed beside her, one gentle hand on Ariana's back, while Michelle Yeoh watched the hallway like a guardian. Ariana pressed her hand against her ribcage, grounding herself. She didn't want to sit. She didn't want to break down. She just needed a moment to remember she was safe. After a long breath, she whispered, "Let's finish," even though her knees still felt unsteady. When she stepped into the press area, the lights hit her too fast, too bright. Her smile returned, but smaller. Her hands stayed close to her body. Reporters asked about the film, and she answered with quiet grace. But her eyes flicked constantly toward security, tiny reflexes she couldn't control. In the fan area, everything softened. Little girls in glittery Glinda dresses ran to her, their excitement washing warmth over the moment. Ariana knelt, hugged them gently, signed their posters. For a while, the trembling stopped. Her smile reached her eyes again. Children have a way of healing fear without even knowing it. But whenever someone moved too quickly, Ariana's shoulders tensed again. Whenever a door clicked shut, she flinched just barely. The world outside hadn't left her body yet. Backstage, she leaned against a wall, exhaling a shaky breath. Cynthia whispered, "We can stop here." Ariana shook her head. "I can keep going," she murmured, even though her voice cracked on the last word. Inside the theater, the audience rose to their feet the moment she walked in. The applause was warm, gentle, protective. Ariana pressed a hand to her heart, mouthed a soft "thank you," and for the first time that night, her shoulders finally relaxed. When the lights dimmed, she let out a breath she'd been holding for hours. Not healed, not untouched, but safe. And when the movie ended, she walked out with her head a little higher, her steps a little steadier. Ariana didn't let fear take the night from her. She took it back quietly, bravely, beautifully.